Hello there and welcome to Mike Checks Out Horizon Zero Dawn, the Frozen Wilds. And look, Aloy can do snow angels. That is probably the coolest addition to Horizon Zero Dawn, that in the photo mode you can now get Aloy to do snow angels. Because obviously the Frozen Wilds is all about snow. So what I'm going to do over the next few minutes is to give you some first impressions of the Frozen Wilds. I'm about a third of the way through the campaign now, and it's more Horizon Zero Dawn, which can never be a bad thing. But we're going to adjust some of the elements of it, but don't worry, there are going to be no story spoilers at all. I'm not going to try and spoil anything, including the monsters you're going to fight, as well as the weapons that might be unlocked in the game and anything about the plot. And as always, just look at it. I mean, seriously, Horizon Zero Dawn is without doubt one of the most stunning games. Look at poor old Aloy there, trying to get a puff when I made to sprint up a hill. Now, the Frozen Wilds is a piece of DLC. It's not standalone. You have to have the original game to play it, and it is completely separate so far from the plot. But what I understand, it does add some detail to the plot of the original game. But because when you finish the original game, you don't. When you go back and start just before the last mission, they can't really add anything more to it because it kind of is. It happens before the final act of the main game, so it's not going to be revelatory. I think it's just going to add a bit of colour and be a bit of fun. Here's the map, and this is the Frozen Wilds. It's a fair chunk, and it takes a while to get around. You get to it via here, which is what's it called? Grave Hoard. And then you can take a little travel up there, have a really intense fight just before you get into the village. And then you've got the whole of this to explore. And it's got the usual distractions. There are campfires to find. There are collectibles. There's two types of collectibles this time. There's a bandit camp to clear. There are side missions to take on, as well as the main story mission. They've made some graphical tweaks. Facial animations are much better, and the game itself, well, it always looks gorgeous, but particularly the snow looks absolutely incredible. And it is what you've come to expect from a Horizon Zero Dawn. You go from mission to mission or place to place, killing robot dinosaurs, harvesting parts to upgrade weapons, interacting with interesting characters, doing side quests, doing errands. All of the kinds of things that you did in the original game, just in this new, beautiful, snowy location. And all the time you've got Aloy complaining about how blooming cold it is. And she's got a nice variety of different ways of saying how cold it is, so you're not going to get tired of it. Obviously, Ashly Burch is a phenomenal actress, and a lot of fun to listen to. Now, with a new expansion comes new skills. So if you complete the main game and get to the level cap of 50, you will actually have already 12 points to spend, which will take you down to this part of the Traveller Tree. The Traveller Tree is about gathering about riders. So you can gather higher quality things. You can actually loot now from, I say horseback, while you're mounted on one of your things. And you can also increase the health of your mount, as well as repair machines that you've taken over and that have been fighting for you. So, and there's also an attack from horseback where you can leap. I haven't tried that yet, but I've only recently unlocked it. Now, the recommended level for this is 30. Now, I've completely 100% finished Horizon Zero Dawn, so I'm going into this at level 50. The level cap has gone up to 60, so you've got plenty of opportunities to get higher. But I will say for now, this is tough. This game is nails hard. What you have, instead of corrupted animals or corrupted robo-dinosaurs as you did in the original game, they have this thing called the Demon, which is not giving anything plot-wise away. And the robo-dinos that have been taken over by the demons are ridiculously tough. And I'm just going to go up and have a little go at a Thunderjaw. So the next thing you're going to see is me having a go at a demon-possessed Thunderjaw. Now, the Thunderjaws in the main game were when you first came across them, they were a challenge. But towards the end of the game, once you've got used to their weak spots, once you kind of figured out how best to approach them, they were tough, but not to the point where you'd feel necessarily overly threatened by it. This particular fight went on for about 10 minutes, and it killed me. And I have only died maybe 5 times in the 80 odd hours that I have been playing Horizon Zero Dawn, because although it's a challenging game, it is not a difficult game. I'm also currently doing it on the ultra hard mode as well. This is normal mode, but I do have another save file while I'm doing ultra hard mode. And even ultra hard mode is, if you at level 50, if you've got all the upgrades for the weapons, then it's not the toughest game in the world. This is hardcore. The new monsters, they take time to break down. I mean, once you get used to them, once you've got some of the new weapons that are available, they become less challenging, but they are still, you're not going to take them down easily. It is tough as nails, which is great. That's what you want. You want a challenge, particularly if the majority of the monsters that you're fighting are actually just powered up versions of the ones you've already faced in the main game. I mean, there are 4 new types of enemy, 3 robo dinos and 1 thing that creates the demons. And that's one of the things that I found a little bit disappointing about the Frozen Wilds, is that the corrupted zones in the original game were really, really hard. You'd have corrupted dinosaurs and you had to clear all the dinosaurs out. You have a control point that you have to reach in this case and shut down. And if you sneak to the control point and shut it down, it knocks out all the dinos and you can just run away and escape. So there is no real incentive to fight the dinosaurs. It's challenging to fight them because these demons, these things that control them, will buff them, will heal them, makes them much, much tougher. So it's a shame that the challenge can actually be circumvented so easily by a bit of clever sneaking. But I suppose that depends what kind of a player you are. I've always been a sneaky little sod, so I sneak up, close everything down and escape. So that's a little bit disappointing because that's the thrust of what's making these machines so dangerous. And we haven't, the thing that makes them dangerous so far anyway, I mean, it might ramp up towards the end of the game, has not proved as challenging as the corrupted zones did in the original game, and they are optional just as the corrupted zones are. So that's my one little niggle. The rest of it is awesome, I must say. The 2 new types of monster I've fought, I know what the 3rd type is, it's a variation on a theme, are big, fast and nasty. And they have got ranged attacks, they've got close-in attacks, they can close distance on you so quickly. So if you're inattentive, they will own your face, and it is great. They are a nice addition to it. It's a shame there weren't more versions of maybe smaller beasts, but we've got 3 big old nasties for you to face down, and say very, very challenging. There are upgraded weapons, so there are 3 new weapons. I've acquired 2 of them so far, but also your 3 bow types can be upgraded to very, very powerful types as well. So the sniper bow, the elemental bow, and the one that has fire and confusion and corruption on it. You can get new versions of those which are far stronger. Also, you can get new armor types as well, but if, like me, you've got the Shield Weaver armor from the original game, they're valueless, to be honest, because the Shield Weaver armor is just ridiculously overpowered. Excellent. I shot a bit off him and kind of shoot him with it. That's what I love about that. You blast off their own weapons and then blow them up with it. It's great fun. So you get stronger versions of the bows, you get stronger versions of the armor. And if you haven't got the Shield Weaver armor, there's one that regens health, there's one that stops you having too much trouble with fire damage. So, all of those things are there. But this time you can also upgrade your lance. So if you do a particular quest, little side quest, you can also upgrade the lance, so you can use the lance, or you make the lance stronger, so it's far more focused on melee and action, this one. Sneaking is not quite as important or as useful when you're fighting monsters, because they are so much bigger now. So you're not going to stealth kill them with one hit. So stealth is actually out the window, so I think that's why they buffed up some of the weapons so they do more damage, particularly the spears. So in a melee situation you are doing an awful lot more. So the question is Horizon Zero Dawn: The Frozen Wilds worth the £15 price tag? My view on that would be a resounding yes, it is. It's 10 to 15 hours of gameplay, depending on whether you are like me, a person who just want to find everything. This is one of the... I'm not a big collector of stuff. I'm not interested in collectibles in games generally, but I 100% completed the original Horizon Zero Dawn because the collectibles weren't overwhelming. They had... they were challenging to find, but they also had a benefit. So you weren't collecting from the sake of collecting. They weren't just there for a trophy. They were there because they gave you additional things, additional resources, etc. So these are quite fun to find, and one of them in particular I have finished now. I collected all 6 of them and delivered to the guy who was after them, and it is actually quite funny. There is a nice payoff to that. In collecting these little figurines, there's a wonderful payoff to it. The combat is excellent as always. The voice acting is top notch. The story, what I have of it so far, is compelling, as you'd expect from this team. Oh gosh, missed that blooming badger. Oh, that's something to bear in mind. New little animals. So you've got owls, badgers, squirrels, and goats, and you will need to harvest them just like you need to harvest the friendly little animals in the original game for upgrades to your pouches. And some currency as well for buying maps to unlock points of interest on the map. So it is definitely, I think, worth your time. Make sure that you are at least level 30, if not higher, before attempting it. Despite the fact that it is the Frozen Wilds, as you can see, there are some lovely varied environments. You've got these hot springs. I think they're saying it's supposed to be Yellowstone or something like that. You've also got foresty areas, you've got barren mountains, and these, as you'd expect, these destroyed buildings all over the place. And that's what I love. I like the decay that you see in Horizon Zero Dawn. These shelled out buses and this sense of a world that once was. It's very compelling. So it is definitely worth your 15 quid. You have to have Horizon Zero Dawn to be able to play it. And seriously, you are not going to survive 5 minutes if you're not at least level 30. And I would suggest even higher than that. There's a couple of niggles, just tiny ones. Firstly, there is some combat, not much, but there is combat that happens inside or in confined spaces, which you didn't have in the first game. In the first game, the majority of the combat scenarios were in wide open spaces. There are a couple of scenarios, certainly in the early part of the story, maybe more further on, where you're actually fighting inside and the camera doesn't cope very well. I had a bit of an issue when I was fighting one of the first time I fought one of the new monsters, and it was a flipping nightmare, to be perfectly honest with you. Also, as beautiful as the snow effects are, there are occasions when you have blizzards and it looks beautiful, and the density of the snow particles on show in the screen are really extraordinary, to be honest with you. It is... I was surprised, to be honest, just by how lovely it looked, but it does actually obscure things a little bit too much for my tastes sometimes when you're trying to see what's going on. I mean, I suppose it's there to add a challenge or whatever it might be, I don't know, but I just feel sometimes it's just a little claustrophobic and doesn't work quite as well as it should do. But again, it's only a very small comment, and I must say the snow is utterly beautiful, and the way it reacts, the way you walk and the way you fall and the way you move is quite incredible, as you'd expect from a game that is as stellar as this one. But the main thing is that this is more Horizon Zero Dawn. If you loved the original, you will love this. If you didn't love the original, do you know what? You won't love this either. It is more of the same in a different environment with some new weapons, some new characters, some new robo-dinosaurs to kick in the face, and more intrigue to uncover. But most importantly, it's more of this. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and have a fabulous gaming week, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye for now.